Yo, hello, and welcome to Divine Discourse, a podcast that makes you explore significant events in the world that we live in currently. I'm your host, Jack Hart, and today we will be diving into a pivotal moment of Christian history known as the Protestant Reformation, an important revolution in religious history that changed the world as we know it today. We'll dive into the origins, causes, and impacts of the Protestant Reformation. So let's get into it. Here are our guests. Today we have Rafael Gomez and Felipe Daniel Hernandez, who will be our guests today, in which they help us discuss the main points regarding the Christian event known as the Protestant Reformation.
Thank you for inviting me. It's amazing to be here.
To begin, Rafael and Felipe, let's talk about the origins of the Reformation. Like, what led to this monumentous event in church history today?
Before we actually talk about what led to it, we have to talk about what it is first. And it was a religious reform movement that swept through Europe in the 1500s.
So it also resulted in the creation of a branch of Christianity, which was, they were called the Protestants. And the Protestants, they were named altogether to refer to like many different religious groups that were separated from the Roman Catholic Church. And all this stuff, it became possible through the differences in the doctrine.
Also, the Reformation was sparked by a number of factors, including corruption within the church, the printing press, which allowed more people to see the news about the church, and the desire for greater religious freedom and independence.
Yeah, and also, corruption, I believe, was a major part, within the church, because, the sale of indulgences, it was, certainly a major factor, and it promised to forgive sins in exchange for money, so I believe that was, its own thing.
And also there were many important figures, such as Martin Luther, who was a monk, and he was pretty mad about the sale of indulgences because, as you know, I don't think people can just buy their way to heaven with money. And in the early 1500s, because of that, he posted his 95 Theses on the door of the church in Germany.
Those actions seemed to spark a massive firestorm of debate and controversy just within the church. So what was his main argument?
Yeah, like I said before, Martin Luther argued that indulgences can only be bought by faith and not by money because it was a gift from God and we can't take that away from them.
Yeah, I think also along with that, I think that this also meant a radical departure from the traditional Catholic teachings in the church. And this all interpreted together emphasized the importance of goods and with the works and the use of the seven sacraments as well.
Okay, wait, so Luther's ideas quickly spread throughout Europe. Was that in part thanks to the printing press too? Because it's obviously the printing press which allowed religious ideas and Bible translations to circulate wildly. Many people desired to read the Bible in and out of the home, but other reformers such as John Calvin and Ulrich, was it Zwingli?
Yeah.
They developed their own versions of Protestantism, which led to a proliferation of new churches and denominations, from what I'm getting from this. And now time for an ad read. Pray for millions around the world alongside actors such as Mark Wahlberg, Jonathan Rumi, who played Jesus in The Chosen, Father Mike, and more on Hollow, the #1 prayer app in the world. Listen on the way to work, on a plane, in the morning, or at night with downloadable offline sessions and customized lanes anywhere ranging from 1 to 5 to 10 to 15, 20, and even 60-minute options. Hollow helps people build a healthy habit of praying and helps relieve stress from the constantly connected world of technology and from work. What's even better is that it's free, unlike the indulgences before the Protestant Reformation. We will be giving a gift to one of our podcast listeners, a 3 months of all-access Hollow subscription, all for free, unless it's $30. Hey, we have a special offer for you guys. We'll be giving a gift to one of our podcast listeners, a 3 months of all-access Hollow subscription, all for free. For free, imagine that. Usually it's $30, but we will give one of you guys a chance in order to receive it and be closer to God. But you don't need that. You don't need to be closer to God. You are already God. Now let's continue on with the podcast. Alright, so we seem to have some questions that people left to us in the last episode, and I think we should answer them. So, XXX Jesus Christ Lover _ said, why did you guys decide for this episode to be talking regarding the Protestant Reformation? I Love God _ said, why do you think it matters? and Joseph's three-man, E-man, whatever that says, we'll never find out. In what other ways did the Protestant Reformation influence the translation, dissemination of the Bible? That was horrible handwriting. So I will answer XX Jesus Christ Lover's question. I guess we decided for this episode to be talking about the Protestant Reformation because we like to talk about theological history, and the Protestant Reformation is a massive example of that. I guess digging deeper into what the Protestant Reformation was about makes us gain better knowledge and grows our own individual faith.
All right, so I'm gonna answer underscore. I love God's question. So, he said like, wait, what was his question even say? I forgot.
His question was why do you think it matters?
So I think it matters. Since we got like so many different groups, in the church, and they separate from each other. Like we had Martin Luther, which Rafa he spoke about earlier. We had John Calvin, which created Calvinism and much more like different groups and stuff like that. It also made the people interpret the scripture much more different, and I think this is an important factor because everybody has different opinions, and this matters in modern society and today. So that's why I think it's important. And answering with the third question, Joseph the man, there was many ways like with the invention of the printing press, it made easier to distribute the Bible easier, and it was much more efficient and affordable for people to buy it from different backgrounds despite race or how much money they receive. So
Yeah, and I think to add to that, Bible studies or Bible societies, they were able to, I guess, get the Bible and then, I guess, give it to the people who were in the societies, and this gave them a more easier, I guess, way to understand it because they were in the language. Because before this, the Bible was in Latin, which they couldn't understand, and now since in German, now they can understand and now have their own opinions on the Bible.
Yeah, so let's continue on talking about this. How do you guys feel that it led to a fragmentation of the church faith, like across the world? What are you guys' opinions on that?
Yeah, so like talking about like when I feel about the fragmentation of the faith or of the Christian faith, I think about like new churches and like denominations like popping off like all over Europe. With this, it led to more like religious conflicts and wars that lasted on for centuries. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Another thing I want to add is that the Reformation had a profound impact on arts and science, and many of the leading figures that like Luther and Calvin, they were influential thinkers, and they shaped the modern world of modern theology.
Wow, like it's amazing to think about how like the Reformation changed the course of history in so many ways for Christianity. It's really something. But I believe that's all the time we have today. Thank you, both of you, for spending your time over here in the studio to talk about this topic, and I would love to see you guys in a future episode.
Thank you so much for inviting us here.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me, and Rafa as well. We're very grateful to be on this podcast, and maybe we'll see you in the future, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you produce in the future as well. So thank you so much for inviting us. Well,
it seems that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thank you all for listening to our podcast on the Protestant Reformation. Join us next time for another episode on Divine Discourse, speaking more regarding the history of religion. Until then, I'm Jack Hart, signing off.